This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the City of Warrenville City Council regular meeting for September 19th, 2022. The City Council meeting will be conducted in the traditional in-person format with the ability for the public to connect virtually using the GoToMeeting access information found on our website. May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Ashour.
Here.
Alderman Berry.
Here.
Alderman Davalos.
Here.
Alderman Goodman.
Here.
Alderman Krischel.
Here.
Alderman Kruckenberg.
Here.
Alderman Lockett.
Here.
And Alderman Widener.
Here.
Thank you, Julie. Please stand as you are able and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Just a reminder that if you're on the line, please don't forget to mute. We appreciate your family life. We just have other business. All right. Tonight we start off with a proclamation honoring Constitution Day, Citizenship Day, and Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd, 2022. Whereas September 17th, 2022 marks the 235th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention in 1787. And whereas each year on September 17th, Americans celebrate Constitution Day and Citizenship Day, reflecting on the rights and responsibilities of citizenship and what it means to be a U.S. citizen. And whereas the Constitution, along with the Bill of Rights and other amendments, define our government and guarantee our rights. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. And whereas it is fitting and proper to offer official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. Now therefore be it resolved that I, David L. Brummel, Mayor of the City of Warrenville, County of DuPage, State of Illinois, do hereby proclaim September 17th, 2022 as Constitution Day and Citizenship Day, and further proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2022 as Constitution Week, and ask all our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution they had in 1887 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Okay, we'll seg into citizens' comments at this point. We have one person signed up this evening, Mr. Bob Siebert.
Bob Siebert, Albright Court. I've been told that there are more than 200 properties that could hook up to the sewer, but are not hooking up to the sewer. I believe it is a benefit to the citizens and to the city if these properties would hook up to the sewer. However, you need communication and information to convince and give a plan to these individuals. I have 2 properties that recently hooked up to the city sewer. One is my neighbor, that's 62 linear feet, and mine, which is 137 linear feet. The dollar fees and cost are as this. The city of Warrenville charged each property $3,105. The pipe and fittings for the 62-foot property, $889. For my property, 137 feet, $1,892. The backhoe on the rental for the 62-foot was $360. It was a smaller dig, so you could use a lighter machine so that you can be completed in one day. My property was $470. Then the pump, when you pump the tank, remove the waste and also fill with gravel, $395 on both properties. The restoration with the smaller property, $850. My property, $1,100. This gives a total, when you're doing it and installing it yourself, for the smaller property, $5,599. My property, $6,962. There's two elements that are necessary that should be communicated to the people that haven't hooked up. The first is planning. You have to have the city tell you where the tie-in is, then have to have the elevation between this and your house. But most importantly, in the planning, the septic systems generally go out the back. The sewer lines generally are in the front. So the planning process, you should identify if you can get closer to the line by moving the piping that is in the interior of the house. Both my neighbors and my house went from the back to the west side, which will save significant dollars. Then the second part is breaking the tasks that you have to do in the specific items. First item, digging. So you have a section there on the pricing of digging. Second, pipe installation, and basically pipe installation is probably the easiest operation of these. It's all compression fittings with rubber gaskets, and you simply have to have 8-pound sledgehammer, 6x6 piece of wood so you don't damage the ends, and this swing the sledgehammer and they slide right in. The next item is the tank, pumping of the tank, and the last item is restore the landscape. I think many of these individuals that haven't entered into this operation are not aware of the individual costs, not aware that they can do some of the items themselves. It's very easy. I taught my neighbor how to use a transit so that he could set the grades, and it simply takes labor. So if someone may not be able to do the labor, but if they have a sibling or relative, they can save money. So I've heard all different dollar figures, and I think most of the dollar figures are extremely high, and these figures are the base figures on a floor that you could have as far as putting in a sewer line. The key element, as you can see by these numbers, is you can double the linear footage, but you're not doubling the price. So you can go around and at 137 feet, we added basically $1,400. So I believe if information like this was communicated to the individuals, the 200 or so, in direct correspondence, it would entice some of them to ask questions or to enter into commencing and establishing a sewer.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else who didn't realize the need to sign up would like to speak this evening? Okay.
Proposing
Oh,
right, that, yes, they can get a certain percent of the vote, but there is a wall that, those voters, at least, with, Republicans, drive, a lot of it is derived from the fact they still see Republicans as the party of the wealthy and the elite.
okay. They did not identify themselves, and they're gone.
Thank you.
Would you like to speak again? I think we did.
With that, that's an end hour for tonight. I'm Jeannie Burwell.
Okay. Yeah, is there someone who would like to speak at this point, or is that background noise, or what?
Did you mute them? No. Oh, so they muted themselves. Is there someone on the phone that would like to speak during public comment? Do you have your mic on?
Your mic's not
I
on.
don't know. Mic's not on. Is there someone on the phone that would like to speak during public comment? We want to make sure that everyone has a chance. Caller 1, did you want to make a comment?
I guess that's a no.
Okay, we can't hear you, so we're gonna, if you want to speak, just speak up. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Okay. Maybe. Okay, we're gonna mute that caller. They had ample opportunity to speak up, and we don't want another interruption, so we're gonna move on. Beginning with official and staff comments, I have several this evening. First of all, thank you to the Park District for another great event this weekend. Art on the Prairie was a complete success. Weather was perfect. Lots of folks came by. There was quite a bit of talent in the show, and I guess everyone did quite well. So hopefully they'll be back next year. But it was a delightful event again, Saturday and Sunday this weekend. So thank you again for the Park District for hosting that event and ensuring that it was a success. Also, nominating petitions for anyone wishing to run for office for the consolidated election to be held on Tuesday, April 4th, 2023, will be available at City Hall during regular business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., or you can go to the city website and on or after September 20th this year. So there are multiple ways you can get those packets. You can also get them at the county, I believe. So if you're thinking of running for office, the time to do that and think seriously about it is approaching. And finally, just a general statement on we appreciate and welcome citizen participation at our meetings and understand there is great interest in the well number 13 water tower and iron filtration project. The city has been working to effectively respond to comments made during the public hearing process and consider its options. The latest developments include the following. Tonight's agenda includes a request for the city to approve a contract for the purchase of a portion of the Thornton's property at 3 South 660 Route 59. If approved, the city intends to prepare revised project plans and seek the zoning approvals required to build the proposed water tower on the Thornton's property and the well and iron filtration facility on the Estes property. City staff intends to request the public hearing for the revised project and associated special zoning approvals be conducted at the November 10th Plan Commission meeting. Staff will be issuing additional updates on the status of this project this week, pending the approval of the real estate contract on tonight's agenda. We thank you for your time and interest in this issue and our city. That's all I have for this evening, Clerk. Thank you. Alderman. Yes, Alderman. Alderman. Okay. get a pass? City Administrator.
Nothing this evening, thanks.
And we're on a roll. City Attorney.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Okay, trifecta. We need, however, to approve the agenda for this evening. Alderman Widener, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve the agenda for the September 19th, 2022 City Council regular meeting.
Second.
Second by Alderman Davalos. Any questions, comments, changes for the agenda for this evening? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and the agenda is approved as presented. We have several sets of minutes that need approval also. Alderman Ryder, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I'll make the motion for A and B, but since I wasn't present for the meeting on September 12th, I would prefer that somebody else make the motion to approve those minutes. With that being said, I move to approve the minutes of the September 6th, 2022 City Council meeting, regular meeting, and to approve the minutes of the September 6th, 2022 City Council closed session meeting.
Second.
Second by Alderman Lockett. Discussion of those minutes. Again, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those minutes are approved. Alderman Goodman.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 12th, 2022 Community Development Committee meeting.
Motion and a second. Again, any discussion of those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and the minutes are approved. The consent agenda for this evening, item 6A, accept Community Development Committee recommendation and pass resolution R2022-56, authorizing staff to apply the ITEP grant and pledging to provide the city funds necessary for the local share for the Maple Hill and Fox Hollow Path project. B, accept staff recommendation and pass resolution R2022-57, rescinding resolutions R2022-27 and R2022-28, and approving the purchase of 4 hybrid Ford Explorer Police Interceptor SUVs from the National Auto Fleet Group in the amount of $194,918.68. C, receive and file report of invoices paid up to September 4th, 2022 in the amount of $41,824.28. Did I say the wrong date? I stand corrected, September 14th. And D, authorize expenditures for invoices due on or before October 3rd, 2022 in the amount of $140,667.83. Alderman Widener.
Move to approve the agenda as presented by Mayor David Brummel.
Second.
Take your pick, clerk. I think it was a tie, so. Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Widener.
Aye.
Alderman Ashour.
Aye.
Alderman Lockett.
Aye.
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Alderman Chrisell.
Aye.
Alderman Goodman.
Aye.
And Alderman Krokenberg.
Aye.
Motion carries and the consent agenda as presented has been approved for this evening. We'll move on to item 7A in the regular agenda. Would someone like to make that motion, please? Alderman Berry.
I'd like to make a motion to accept staff recommendation, waive second reading, and pass ordinance O2022-35, approving a real estate sales contract and authorizing the execution of associated documents, including, without limitation, the joiner assignment and assumption agreement and tax reparation agreement for the purchase of real property located at 3S660 Route 59 in the city.
Second.
Second by Alderman Goodman. We'll have a presentation, short presentation by Phil Kukler, our Public Works Director. Phil, good evening.
Good evening and thank you. Since advertising for the public hearing for the Well 13 project on the Estes property in August, the Thorntons re-engaged the city in negotiations for purchasing a piece of their property. As a result, revisions were made to the real estate contract documents that are included with the agenda backup materials. The purchase price remains $250,000, but Thorntons did request a few changes to the documents for items that we had intended that Thorntons would handle and pay for, but they requested the city pay for. And those items are the city ordering and paying for title, which is estimated to be about $1,850. City paying for an Alta survey, which will cost $4,000. The city paying for Thornton's outside legal counsel to handle the contract management after execution of this contract document and up to closing of the property, which is a maximum cap of $5,000. And then city also is agreeing to shorten the period of time between the contract execution to closing from 225 days to 160 days. And that 160 days would include the time necessary to seek the zoning and subdivision approvals. So the total cost to acquire Thornton's property would be a maximum of $261,000 with those provisions incorporated into the agreement. A TIF 4 budget amendment would be required for this because those costs were not included in the fiscal year 23 budget. From staff's perspective, this is a reasonable cost to achieve the city's desired outcome of purchasing the two properties, the Estes property and the Thornton's property, and splitting the improvements between them, the two properties. After approval tonight, staff will submit a written request to continue the public hearing for the Estes property to the November 10th Plan Commission meeting, and that'll allow time for Thornton's and the property owner to execute the agreement. City staff and consultants to update the zoning documents for the Estes property to remove the water tower from that property and move the iron filtration in the well to the south half of that property. And then city staff and consultants time to prepare the zoning and subdivision applications for the water tower on the Thornton site. Staff will also, in addition to submitting that request for the continuation of the public hearing, communicate out to people of interest in this property, including the residents in the area that showed up to the public hearing, as well as Lexington Homes and a few others. And then following up that request, staff is going to finalize the FAQ document responding to the comments that were raised at the August 4th public hearing and make that available this week as well. And with that, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Great. Any questions from council? Alderman Goodman.
Thank you. I think my question is mainly for the city attorney, how these changes affect us, if there's anything we need to be concerned about, and what your reaction is.
You mean the changes that Thornton's recently requested?
Yes, most of them are monetary, not legal, of course.
Right. I don't think any of them are of real substantive issues for the city. They're mostly just cost shifting who pays the title company, for instance, for the same title policy that we would get otherwise. It's just who's paying those fees. So there's no real practical outcome difference for the city except that it will cost approximately $11,000 more in fees than we had previously paid for. As far as the outside counsel request, I actually think that although, again, it will cost the city money, I think it may be a benefit to the city because we're accessing some staff that has additional resources and time that may be more efficient from Thornton's perspective, and I think that's probably the best case for the city as well. So again, it's a relatively modest sum for, I don't think, maybe even positive impact for the city, because that's true even for ordering title. We can control that. That means we can control the company we're using, the time that when we order it, make sure we get it on time. So we're not chasing another party to get those things. So.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very reassuring, having a little bit more control over moving this forward more quickly and making sure that it does move forward. That sounds like, even if it comes with some cost, that seems like it's worthwhile. Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Lockett.
Just more of a comment, and I guess just to double check, the advantage of us getting both sites is that we can build them simultaneously, which in turn cuts down on the construction timeline and also the construction costs, correct?
Yeah, excuse me. Yes, we're estimating it cut about 10 to 12 months off the construction timeline. And just for the water tower over the last 2 years has increased, the cost estimates increased like $1.2 million over the last 2 years. And the supply and demand going forward are going to be not in the city's favor. Joliet's going to be constructing a number of water towers for their accessing Lake Michigan water in this area before 2030. And there's only a limited number of companies that build these things. So the sooner we can get this moving, the cheaper it'll be. It's not going to be cheap, but the less costly it'll be.
Right. So the 11,000 or the extra we have to pay now is going to offset once we start construction anyway.
Yeah, I believe we'll save more money by buying both properties and constructing them sooner than we would by trying to build everything on one site.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Alderman Widener, thank you. Did I cut you off? No, you're done. Okay. Alderman Weidner.
Thank you. Are there any other perceived benefits by purchasing the property in this manner and putting the facility in two locations rather than one?
No, I mean, for the city, just looking at our operations, being able to construct them sooner and save money is the big benefit. But I think buying the two properties and splitting up the improvements will also at least go partially toward addressing some of the comments that the concerns that the neighborhood had for the project.
Okay, thank you.
Also, as I understand it, the Thornton site is somewhat prepared for this project because we talked to them initially when they built, and they reserved that property for us for this project, and they've made preparations on the site for this project, correct?
Yes, the Thornton site is more ready for us to build on than the SD site.
Good, okay. And special thanks to staff and our city attorney for finally getting Thornton's attention again. They've been busy, didn't want to talk to us, but you have aggressively pursued them to good effect. So thank you so much for the good work and for coming up with the alternate plan, which I think is superior to the original one we had. So, well done. Anyone else? All right, may I roll call, please?
Alderman Chrisell,
Aye.
Alderman Goodman,
Aye.
Alderman Krokenberg,
Aye.
Alderman Lockett,
Aye.
Alderman Widener,
Aye.
Alderman Ashour,
Aye. Aye.
Alderman Davalos,
Aye.
Alderman Berry.
Aye.
Thank you, Julie. Motion carries on to 7B. Would someone like to make that motion, please? Alderman Berry?
I'd like to make a motion to accept Mayor Brummel's recommendation and pass Resolution R 2022-58, appointing Christina White as Budget Officer and TIF Administrator.
Second by Alderman Krokenberg. Any discussion? Okay, roll call in, please.
Alderman Davalos,
Aye.
Alderman Berry,
Aye.
Alderman Goodman,
Aye.
Alderman Ashour,
Aye.
Alderman Lockett,
Aye.
Alderman Widener,
Aye.
Alderman Krokenberg,
Aye.
and Alderman Chrisell.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. And the weight on Christina's shoulders just got a little heavier. Okay, we have nothing under unfinished business. We have no new business listed for this evening. However, we do have the need for a closed session. So if I could have the citation and the motion, please, Alderman Berry.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of 5 ILCS 120/2 the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired.
Second.
Second by Alderman Goodman. May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Goodman,
Aye.
Alderman Lockett,
Aye.
Alderman Widener,
Aye.
Alderman Krokenberg,
Aye.
Alderman Chrisell,
Aye.
Alderman Berry,
Aye.
Alderman Ashour,
Aye.
and Alderman Davalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will now enter into executive session. We will not be conducting any business subsequent to our executive session, so you're free to go about your personal business. Thank you for your attendance and attention this evening.